Hey folks, welcome back to the JLAMBCAST MMA Show. We've been off for a couple of weeks, but I'm back. We're recapping a huge night of fights. UFC 264, the big July pay-per-view that normally is the culmination of International Fight Week. Due to COVID, we've kind of been robbed of those as fans of those types of festivities, the lead up um, to International Fight Week. But nonetheless, the UFC provided us with a stacked pay-per-view. Unfortunately, this stacked pay-per-view ended with an injury in the main event. If you've been living in a bubble, spoiler alert, Conor McGregor broke his tibia in the waning seconds of the first round in Saturday's main event. Dustin Porier gets the victory. He now goes up 2-1 in the trilogy. And Dustin Poirier's next on the list to fight the current lightweight king, Charles "Do Bronx" Oliveira. So we're going to unpack a lot of the stuff there. We're going to go more in detail on that main event here shortly. But I do want to go over. There was good fights all over. So good fights all over. If you're digging on this shirt, let me move the mic out of the way. Here we go. Little Tom Segura, the YMH, 2 bears, 1 cave. That's so much sugar. Probably one of the funniest episodes was when Tom Segura found out that Bert Kreischer drinks about 48 ounces of Kool-Aid a day. So, I have to agree with Bert. Kool-Aid does taste good, even in your 30s, but 48 ounces is a lot of sugar. So, all right, let's get into UFC 264. Let me pull it up for you guys, too. We'll break down the early prelims. Switch over here. Early prelims, straight from the UFC website. First fight of the night was, here we go with the damn names again, Zalaz Zumagulov versus Jerome Rivera. Flyweight bout ended in a first round submission to kick off the night. A nasty guillotine front choke, just twisting that guy's neck around. It was absolutely what you needed in the first fight. If you weren't excited already, this fight just comes in, that submission, and just says, all right, tonight's going to be a good fucking night. So, congrats. I believe he was the favorite there, minus 360. Zumagulov was to get the victory. Next fight was, this was actually an under-the-radar, exciting fight. Brad Tavares, who's been around the middleweight division for a long time, well-respected, out of Hawaii, versus Omari Akhmedov. And Brad Tavares gets the split decision victory. It was a good fight. Enjoyed that one, too. Then the women's flyweight. And this, mind you, is all on the early prelims. We're not even on the regular prelims yet. Early prelims. You had a great submission, a great 3-round fight, and then Jennifer Maia and Jessica Ai ends up being a gigantic bloodbath. So the story is already set. 3 fights in. Like I said, ESPN Plus early prelims. Jennifer Maia and Jessica Ai, I believe it was in the second round, Jessica Ai and Jennifer Maia end up butting heads, and it caused a huge gash on Jessica I's forehead. And it was pouring blood, as you could imagine. So, to be honest with you, I think the judges got this one wrong. You see right here, it says Jennifer Maia decision unanimous. I believe the judges took into account that Jessica I was bloody. She was wearing that crimson mask for half the fight. But it was only due to an accidental headbutt. I mean, if you go back and watch the fight, you could clearly make a case that Jessica I was landing the bigger shots and possibly even more of the shots. Yeah. I mean, it looks total strikes was about even. Significant strikes was about even. And Jessica I landed 2 out of 3 takedowns. But again, it was that accidental headbutt that made it look like Jessica I took more damage. And that is taken into account with these judges. It is, absolutely. They're going to take a look at that and say, well, this person looks clean. This person looks bloody as hell. I'm going to give it to that one. But I just don't think that was the case. Not that I can't say that Jennifer Maia didn't prove her case. I mean, she certainly came in looking strong as well. But I could say Jessica I, in my eyes, pun, had a strong case for claiming victory in that one. And she is one tough girl. I think Dana White said in the post-fight press conference that she ended up with 12 stitches on her forehead. And I know a few things about that. Got a nice little scar right there. July 22nd, 1990. I don't remember how many stitches it was because I was only 6. Yeah, I think I was 6. The only reason why I know the exact date of what it was is because it sent my mother into labor. My brother was born the next day. So we were all laid up in the hospital in one way, shape, or form that time. Oh, yeah, the whole family. Not just me, not just mom, not just brother, sister and dad rushing to the hospital at the same time. They end up missing a wet floor sign. He gets a bump on the noggin. She dislocates her shoulder. She's only a toddler at this point, but they're running through the hospital, slip, fall, boom. Yeah, we've all got our bumps and bruises July 22nd, July 23rd. And then I've got another scar right up there. And that one is not the coolest story to tell. But I think I was about 14. I was about 8th grade. Yeah, I think I was 8th grade. I was going to a birthday party. Ice skating. Huge fan of the Mighty Ducks, and thought I could do one of them cool little hockey stops where they spray the ice up. Saw a couple of cute girls on the other side of the ice, and I was like, yeah, that would be the most impressive thing. Like, what is gonna get these girls to, oh my god, yeah, I'm gonna spray them with ice. Yeah, it didn't work out that way. So I ended up skating really, really fast across the ice. I went to go turn and make that hockey stop, hoping to spray that ice. I clipped the front of my skate, face plant, and I don't remember too much. I know for sure that I blacked out because I do remember waking up, putting my hands out and feeling something cold pushing up and just seeing nothing but red everywhere. Got a bunch of stitches for that one too. So, Jessica, I know how that feels. I know you're uncomfortable for what you went through on Saturday night, although you did it in a much cooler way than I ever could. So kudos to you, Jessica Evil Eye. And with that, we're going to switch back over and look at the main prelims. So those were on ESPN and ESPN Plus. It got started off with former Houston police officer Trevin Giles versus Dricus Du Plessis. That one was an easy one to pronounce. Both of these guys look strong. Du Plessis punched Trevin Giles just perfectly, square in the jaw, knockout, second round. Good fight there. And then probably the worst fight of the night, featherweight bout between the jiu-jitsu ace Ryan Hall and Ilia Topuria. Ilia Topuria. Sure, we'll go with that one. This one was a very uneventful fight for probably the longest 4 minutes and 47 seconds. Ryan Hall claimed that he broke his fist on the first punch he threw. I don't remember him ever throwing a punch in this fight because he was doing Ninja Turtle rolls across the cage for 4 minutes and 47 seconds. He kept trying to go for the Imanari roll and lock up the legs of Ilia Topuria, and Topuria just danced out of the way the entire time until he finally got tired of it and dropped down and caught Ryan Hall with several ground strikes that knocked him out. So move on from that one. And then here was my pick for fight of the night going into this. Now, obviously, this did not get fight of the night if you kept up with the bonuses. But Nico Price, his first fight since he faced Cowboy Cerrone and fought to a draw, which ended up turning into a no contest because of marijuana. But hey, Nevada State Athletic Commission just announced recently that they are no longer testing for marijuana. So congrats to all those types of fighters. Nico Price, you won't have that problem in the future in Nevada, as well as the Diaz brothers, as well as several other fighters that we won't go into. So, versus Michel Pereira. And we all know Michel Pereira from his every exciting fight that he's ever been in. Running up the fence, Anthony Pettis style, to backflipping on top of his opponents, to kicking off the cage and Superman punch. I mean, he's just he is a 170-pound wonder that moves like a flyweight. Just energy for the first 2 rounds until he tires himself out from all the crazy stuff that he does. So this was absolutely going to be an exciting fight, and it sure was. There was moments. Michel Pereira did not disappoint. He did land a backflip with his foot catching on top of Nico Price's head, and that was very interesting. But a much more calculated approach for Pereira. I thought he was going to be a little bit more of that gunslinger style where he just didn't care. Nico Price came forward a lot. It was just it was a great fight. So I really did like that one. Next up, the main feature bout on the prelims was Carlos Condit versus Max Griffin. Max Griffin, young, up-and-coming fighter, facing the wily veteran in Carlos Condit. I believe Condit is 38 years old and been around for a long time. Fought George St. Pierre when he was champion. Carlos looked, I would say Carlos looked slow compared to Griffin, but Griffin is a speedy welterweight, and that speed definitely won out. Griffin was in and out. Carlos did tag him with some shots, but Griffin withstood and ended up getting that victory. So huge win for his career to have somebody of name value like that. So let's get into the pay-per-view. First fight of the night, and this ended up being the fight of the night, was Sean O'Malley versus Chris Matinho, newcomer Chris Matinho. So Sean O'Malley's previous opponent dropped out about a week before this fight, and they called up Chris Matinho, who had a 9-3 record coming in, and a huge underdog against Sean O'Malley. I think he had to bet like $100 or $100 just to win like $1 or something like that. I don't know. I don't understand how all that shit works, but Sean O'Malley, if I were a betting man, I would have bet that Sean O'Malley would have knocked out Chris Matinho. He did not. I would have lost a ton of money on that one. But credit to Chris Matinho, who has a jaw on him. Sean O'Malley looked like the experienced veteran, and I can't believe that we're calling Sean O'Malley an experienced veteran at this point. But compared to somebody that's never fought in the UFC, absolutely. Chris Matinho just walked forward the entire time. Look, was like a green-haired zombie, just eating shot after shot after shot. Eventually, Herb Dean stepped in and called the fight towards the end of the third round. There was only about 27 seconds left in that third round, but third and final round, should I say? But yeah, props. I think I wouldn't say it was the most impressive victory. I mean, Sean O'Malley did what he was supposed to do, except knock that kid out. For Chris Matinho, he showed power in his hands. He tagged O'Malley several times. He walked him down, was unafraid. Sean O'Malley was on his back foot, couldn't generate that level of power to get the job done, but he did get the victory. Chris Matinho, I hope he does stick around. With his frame, with the look of him, and I think they did say this on the broadcast that he has fought at flyweight, 125 pounds. Wouldn't mind seeing him go back there. I think with his ability to take a punch, there is some exciting fights for him at flyweight to get some experience and potentially move up again to bantamweight. Sure, why not? But I don't care where. I'll tune in. I'll tune in to watch this kid fight again because I like that stuff. He kind of looked like Homer Simpson in the episode where Homer becomes a boxer and just taking punches until his opponents get tired out. I like that. I'll tune in for that. Next fight, Irene Aldana versus Yana Kunitskaya. That one didn't go the way that I thought it would. Irene Aldana missed weight, was fined 30% of her purse, but she did pick up the TKO victory. Looked very strong, pieced up Yana Kunitskaya with her boxing. Irene Aldana is known for being one of the best boxers in the bantamweight division. And another huge victory for Mexican fighters. 2021 shaping up to be the year of Mexican-born fighters, so let's go. Yana Kunitskaya, I have no doubt that she will... Kunitskaya. I know I messed that one up too. I have no doubt she'll bounce back. She's going to stay at the top of the division. She's a very well-rounded fighter, and excuse me, she puts on some exciting fights. And then that brought us to the feature bout, which was tied to Bam Bam Tuivasa versus Greg Hardy. This one only lasted 1 minute and 7 seconds. Tai Tuivasa knocks out Greg Hardy and knocks him out clean. Vicious punch. Tai Tuivasa then jumps on the cage. We get the shoey that we've been looking for. The shoey. A shoey is still gross, but a shoey without fans and a shoey with fans. I will take a shoey with fans every day of the week and twice on Sundays. Tuivasa, great job, great victory. I also thought it was interesting after he left. I think he did about 3 or 4 shoeys on the way back to the locker room after the fight. And I think one of the fans, I know for a fact, one of the fans dosed one of his shoeys with the Dustin Porier hot sauce. That you saw a moment of panic after Tai Tuivasa took that shoey. I guess we'll call that one the Australian michelada. Yeah, it was nasty. But yeah, huge win for Tai Tuivasa. Greg Hardy, a lot of people tune in for him. Of course, being a former NFL fighter and his background of being accused of domestic assault, domestic abuse, those allegations, his time in the NFL. I mean, he brings a ton of name value anytime he fights. So yeah, huge win for Tai Tuivasa. That brought us to probably, if we're calling the Ryan Hall fight and to Porier the most boring fight, I would say the most disappointing fight was the Gilbert Burns and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Gilbert Burns got the win, albeit in not fantastic fashion. He attacked with takedowns and pressing up against the cage. Wonderboy was not able to establish that range that he is known for with his karate style. He got smothered, and Gilbert Burns gets the victory. So Gilbert, that sets up some interesting fights for him. I know he called out Leon Edwards. I know he called out Jorge Masvidal. I think there was another. I think it was a Diaz call out too. I don't hate those call outs. This victory did in no way was a statement victory to say I'm coming for that welterweight title for a third time. I wouldn't call it a setback. I'd call it just a stalemate, even though he did get the victory. So he's still got some work to do, maybe 2 fights before, he would have to have 2 fantastic fights to get another shot at the champ. Wonder Boy, where does this put him? Wonder Boy is 38 years old, and I hate to say that, he looked a little old and slow out there, but I think he didn't look slow. I mean, he did land some quick twitch karate strikes. A couple, definitely one spinning back kick that landed on Gilbert Burns' neck that rattled him pretty good. I love Wonder Boy, and it's always a treat to see him fight. I don't know. I really don't know what I would like for him next. I don't want to see another grappler with him. I would say if you can book it, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson versus Jorge Masvidal would be great. NMF versus BMF, sure. I would love to see that. Steven versus, you know what, Nate Diaz. I would say Nate Diaz would be the funnest fight right now for Wonder Boy. You know, Diaz will go to the ground if you want to go to the ground. But Diaz wants to stay on the feet with you. So Wonder Boy's going to stay on the feet with you. I would like that fight. I would like to see how the interaction would go between Diaz and Thompson. Thompson is the NMF crowned by recently released reporter Ariel Helwani, who's no longer with ESPN. Crowned him, gave him the belt on his show of the NMF belt, the nicest mofo, and he absolutely is. He seems like one of the most nicest guy. Check out his podcast. He does a great show with his brother. A lot of good content from his page. Yeah, I mean those two fights, I would love to see those, and probably the Diaz fight more. Because I don't know how Diaz would react to somebody as nice as that. It might just piss him off more. But sure, we'll call it with that. All right, so that brings us to the main event: Dustin Poirier, Conor McGregor. A lot of animosity this time around. But the animosity was only one-sided. And to me, the animosity just seemed fabricated. Conor McGregor fought Cowboy Cerrone, beat Cowboy Cerrone. Was so nice, so respectful. Just a humble, matured athlete. It looked like he had just turned a corner to be the fighter's villain and fan favorite, to just be, the consummate professional and the example for your kids, all-star dad, Conor McGregor. And then everything kind of changed whenever Dustin Poirier said something about Conor not donating to the Good Fight Foundation charity. And Conor wanted to take it old school, I guess. Old school Conor. But to me, it just seemed fabricated. It didn't feel like real Conor. It was almost, and it really showed in the press conference. From what I saw in the press conference, it looked like he was forcing it. Almost like Dustin was in Conor's head a little bit. That knockout could have eaten at Conor a little bit. It could have gotten into his head. Like, I can't beat Dustin being the nice guy. I have to go and be the asshole. I have to go up there on stage and throw his hot sauce off the thing and pour it out on stage and, threaten to send him out on a stretcher. Well, Karma McGregor ended up going out on a stretcher. So I can't take credit for that original, for being original there. That was not me. I did read that somewhere. Karma McGregor. And I laughed. I thought it was funny. But yeah. So Conor, yes, was the one to go off. So the fight gets on. Conor's doing that Vince McMahon walk and talking a lot of shit, and the fight starts. Conor starts in with a couple of spinning attacks, some heavy leg kicks, a couple of good punches. He clipped Dustin Poirier once. Dustin Poirier fired back some. There was a moment, and Dustin did say this in the post-fight press conference, that he did feel at a certain point he checked one of the leg kicks. I don't remember seeing one checked. So I went back and watched the fight again. And there was a moment where he did turn his knee out, and it did catch Conor's left leg on the exact spot where it broke. And Dustin acknowledged that he checked it and kind of pointed like, yep, got you there. So, there was a checked leg kick, and that's what Dustin was claiming might have been the micro fracture that ultimately led to Conor McGregor later in the round stepping back awkwardly and breaking his tibia. So if you want to see it, I do have the photo pulled up, a still photo of it. Yeah, that is nasty. That is definitely a break. And Conor was definitely feeling that, but fought it to the end. Another interesting note about this fight. So June 18th, so yeah, a little less than a month ago, Conor posted this picture of the billboard and said, "First one to shoots is a dusty bitch." And guess what? Conor was the first one to take a grappling shot. Now, I'm not sure. I mean, if it was a full takedown shot, it was way too high. It wasn't well set up. It was very amateurish of a takedown, and I don't believe it was an actual takedown. I believe he was trying to initiate a clinch, but it's still a shot, and Conor was the first one to take it. So you can draw your own conclusions there, albeit I think Conor got exactly what he deserved here. And I love watching Conor fight. I believe he is great for the UFC. I believe he is great when he is winning. But unfortunately, he has been exposed now. He got exposed in the Diaz fight for his gas tank and his jiu-jitsu. He got exposed in his wrestling by Khabib, and he's been exposed by Dustin Porier in the inability to defend against leg kicks and striking. You found somebody that can take a Conor McGregor punch without getting knocked out. So let's talk about what's next. Obviously, Dustin Poirier is gonna fight Charles do Bronx Oliveira probably in December for the lightweight title. I think that's a given. Conor, where does he go? Obviously, you're gonna be out. I saw a couple of YouTube pages with some orthopedic surgeons that did say, I think unanimous on the 3 videos that I watched was roughly 9 to 12 months that he would be out. Of course, everybody heals differently, so they do give you a little bit of a window there to. Some people do heal faster than others, and then some people come back a little too sooner than others. But Conor, it would likely set him up for July of next year, which, we would be in 2022. I'm sure International Fight Week festivities will be back in Vegas in full force. I think that's a perfect setup for him. But where do we go with Conor? Okay. Certainly the Diaz trilogy. Diaz is coming off of his loss, and sure, I mean there's name value, there's history there. Both guys coming off of losses, but you could still sell a main event pay-per-view to culminate that trilogy. I think it's less likely for Dustin Poirier. And I'm not so sure he wins against Oliveira, but he certainly could. We could be talking a year from now, and Dustin Poirier is the champion. So Conor McGregor coming back and fighting for a championship like that doesn't make a lot of sense. If Dustin Poirier is champion, I'm going to put Dustin Poirier as probably one of the more least likely candidates to fight Conor right now. The Nate Diaz trilogy makes sense. And then the other one that I heard talked about was Tony Ferguson. Sure. Tony Ferguson's coming off 3 losses in a row. Conor McGregor's coming off of 2. There is a little bit of back and forth history there. Right? I'd pay to see it. I would love to see that fight. And then I'll throw one in. One name in the hat. And before I incite any type of harsh criticism, not that I care, but so Conor, coming off of these back-to-back losses like that, he needs somebody with he needs name value. Obviously, he's Conor McGregor, absolutely. He needs name value because we got to sell pay-per-views here. But we also don't need them to be too high of a contender. All right. Yeah, for Conor to get back to form where he's competing for a title, I don't think it would be good for him coming off back-to-back losses like this to be thrown right back to the wolves to, say, a Justin Gaethje. Not that I wouldn't love to see that fight, but I'm afraid that would be another loss on Conor McGregor's record, and that would not be – we wouldn't be seeing Conor McGregor probably ever again if he came back and got slaughtered. We need a potentially winnable fight. Nate Diaz, of course, that's going to be tops on everybody's list. But like I said, somebody maybe fringe top 10, maybe unranked, but has name value. So I'm gonna think outside the box here. Somebody that's not ranked in the lightweight division. I'm looking at, how about a repeat of a Max Holloway-Conor McGregor fight? Max Holloway moving back up to 155 and fighting Conor McGregor. I mean, what do you do with Max at this point? Max has lost 2 in a row, he lost to Volkanovski twice. Then came in and pieced up, in his last performance. Just put on an absolutely freaking great show. The only way he gets a title shot is if Ortega beats Volkanovski later this year. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the UFC would give the Volkanovski Max Holloway a three-peat. But what does Max do? Where is the fight for him? This fight makes sense. It gives Max the opportunity to move up, which is something he's always talked about. He did move up once. He lost. But yeah, the Conor fight? Absolutely. Why not? That seems perfect. It's perfect for Conor McGregor because it's Max freaking Holloway. A great name. It doesn't do any damage. There's very little risk to Max Holloway for taking this fight. He's not ranked in the division, which is good for McGregor, that if he gets that win, it kind of rejuvenates and gets him back on track, and then he can go in and face a top 10 opponent and potentially come back and get a shot if Poirier is a champion. So I like that fight. I like that because it is out of the box. It is like left field. So to me, if I don't get Diaz, if it's not Diaz or Tony Ferguson, I mean, Max Holloway, I would like to see that fight. Absolutely. So So good stuff from this weekend. Again, a heartbreak. Not that I know I shit on McGregor for the lead up to this fight. I think he deserves all the scrutiny because post-fight and pre-fight telling Dustin Poirier he was coming to kill him, and even post-fight screaming at him too. It just wasn't a good look for Conor. And yeah, I don't know what Conor we get to see next year once he's healed up, and what happens next. There'll be some time, but a lot of things happening in the meantime in the UFC. We'll go ahead real quickly and see what's on tap for this Saturday, July 17th. They're going to be back at the Apex. UFC Fight Night. Islam Makhachev versus Thiago Moises. Another lightweight fight. 2 top 15 fighters. Marion Renault versus Miesha Tate. A Miesha Tate return. That's the big story of this Saturday. Jeremy Heathen Stevens. So some good fights there. Prelim wise, let's see. Daniel Rodriguez coming off of he was on Contender Series. Amanda Lemos versus Montserrat Ruiz. Davison Figueiredo's brother Francisco Figueiredo fighting. So yeah, we'll be able to see that one. Of course, ESPN Plus, tune in this weekend. And folks, I know I've been kind of out of it for a couple of weeks, but we'll be back going a couple times in a row, and we'll see more fallout from what happened from this weekend next week, and preview. We got a big preview coming up, or pay-per-view coming up August 7th with the interim title, Derek Lewis versus Cyril Gane. Of course, Francis Ngannou could not make the fight for August 7th because it is in Houston. It only made sense for Houston to have Texas's own Derek Lewis, H-Town represent. And so, well, we'll be getting into more of that stuff and other news happening around MMA. So for now, we'll see you next time, folks.